Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Two Dicks Exposed. I am your host, not Mike.
And I'm your other host, not Pat.
And once again, we are joined by our third-party person.
Not Side Mike.
Yeah, that's Couch Dan over there.
We're going to get you a name eventually.
I'm testing some things out. Whatever
Just
feels right.
You're trying to figure it out? All right.
I don't know who I am.
Toes in the water, toes in the sand.
Toes in the sand.
I got my mouth on a hot dog. I don't know. I don't listen to country. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, that was a country song?
Yeah, that was a country song. Something about hot dogs. We are continuing our magical month of May with a second episode based on the greatest game series ever made, Legend of Zelda.
Baby.
So if you tuned in last time, you got a nice little recap of the timelines by mainly not Pat. I sat here and looked pretty. This time I swear I'm going to talk a little bit more.
All right.
Because
I felt so bad because I'm just like you were just kept talking about like the now. Like I kept like being like, oh, I know you played this game, and then you were talking, and I was like, you're missing so much lore here. Hold up 1 second. Let me pull it back for a second.
You're just lucky you have such like a nice voice. Any other man, I would have like,
no, we're gonna
like, stop. Let me talk.
Let me talk.
Let me talk. But no, you were soothing.
Thank you.
It's like ASMR. Just welcome back to another episode.
Welcome back to another episode of Mike, not Pat.
Just Mike.
I'll get my name eventually. But yes, we're just talking about more Zelda stuff today, and I figured we would just talk.
Yeah, I mean, we got the
games.
timeline out of the way, so now we can just kind of talk about the meat.
We got all the boring stuff out of the way.
Right. So for both of us, we landed on this Ocarina of Time. That's how we got into it.
Technically speaking, I did play Link to the Past first, but I didn't know that I played Link to the Past until like later. Like, because one thing that happened a lot of times back with like old cartridge games was like the sticker would come off.
Gotcha.
You know, so like you would put a game in and play it. So like you'd be at like a friend's house and playing a game that had like a sticker on it. Like I remember playing some Link to the Past, but like
you're just sitting there and you're like, man, why does Samus have a sword in this game?
What is
like,
going on?
Metroid took a weird turn.
Like as I'm like eating like elementary school glue and just like smacking my hands together.
Just, I am Donkey Kong.
Yeah, because I was a dumb kid. I didn't know what I was doing.
And now you're just a dumb man.
This is the same age in which I thought that like you had to beat Vile at the beginning of Mega Man X, despite the fact that like now I know that it's impossible. You can't.
We all live.
So, like that's how dumb I was. But yeah,
cool. This is the same age where I thought Yu-Gi-Oh only had 2,000 life points and you could summon any monster you wanted.
Yep. Those good old days.
The good old days of childhood. Woo.
But yeah, Ocarina of Time was my very first like actual introduction to the Legend of Zelda games, and I was just like, what is going on here? And what is this majesty? Like, because I don't think I was really a gamer until this moment. Like, I would play video games because, like, I'd go and I'd rent, like, this look fun, this look cool, this look fun from, like, Blockbuster. I would just rent random games. Like, I would just, whatever. Like, just shooting, like, into the breeze. Just
that was what was great back then. You played so many random games, like the N64 era and the GameCube era.
Yeah.
We're just like, let's just go pick up a game for a week from Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or whatever.
And see if it sticks.
Just see if it's fun.
Yeah.
I that's probably the reason why I played, like, 300 games back then.
Yeah.
And then we lost Blockbuster, lost Hollywood Video, and I just stopped playing video games altogether. But
at this point, if you were, like lucky enough to find your niche, like find the market that you were into, like for me it was RPGs. Eventually I figured I was like, this is what I like, this is what I'm sticking with. So I didn't have to rent games anymore. I just saw the next RPG came out and I went and go buy it. But Zelda was one of the few games from that timeline that like stuck out at me. Because at this point, like I was obsessed with only RPGs, but like I stopped what I was doing for a Zelda game. Yeah. Every time.
And this actually kind of leads into a big question, which you yelled at me in between takes here. And I think it's going to give a lot of clarity to any of our listeners. And the question was, Pat, what games did you actually fucking play? Yeah, like, and let me answer that real quick.
Like, what did you play?
Like, you didn't seem to know anything going on.
I kept throwing it to you, and I was like, did you... This was like, because like I was like, all right, he didn't play any of the handheld games, so I kept like lobbing the console games at you, and you're like,
wait, that happened?
I played half of this game, and I was like,
all right,
I thought you said you had the consoles.
Yeah, I know what they are. Right. So as he said, did not really play any of the handheld games. I played Four Swords for like a little bit, but just because that was multiplayer. Like, so me, my brother, one of my buddies got it, and we just ran around, kind of not doing anything in the game. We just ran around, played with each other.
Yeah,
you know what normal kids do. We just all sat in a circle and jerked around. So Skyward Sword I did play half of.
Okay.
I made it to the point where you had to assemble the Master Sword, and said, I hate this game. I'm never playing it again, and I just burned it and threw it away.
I understand, because I legit, the only reason why I beat that game was so I can keep my record of saying I've beaten every Zelda game.
That's fair.
That's how much I didn't like that game. So
yeah. Now I do intend on going back and playing it, because the remake
is better.
I have heard is much better.
Yep.
Did not play the Minish Cap. Four Swords, like I said, I just touched on a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time, I played to the point where I broke the joystick on my N64.
Yeah.
Fucking love that game.
Love Ocarina of Time.
Loved it. Didn't play any of the Heroes Decline timeline. So never did Link to the Past, never did Oracles of Seasons or Ages, Link's Awakening, or the original Legend of Zelda or Legend of Zelda 2. Never played any of them.
Okay.
Majora's Mask, I played minimal versions. So I played through the beginning of it, but when I tried to play it originally, I did not have the mental capacity to keep resetting the time and doing all that stuff. Yeah. The game just did not make sense to me.
Because I mean, that game came out in 2000, so I would have been.
So I would have been 10.
I would have been 12.
Yeah.
So
So for me, it wasn't straightforward. You know, it wasn't just a hack and slash type of game that like Ocarina of Time was.
Yeah.
So didn't do it. And then by the time it got re-released on the 3DS, I tried to play it again, but I was in college at the time. I was working full time. You know,
right. Yeah, no.
Time didn't exist.
Time didn't exist.
Time didn't exist. Right. Now, Twilight Princess, I did play all the way through.
Okay.
Apparently, I don't remember any of it, but I remembered I loved the game.
The game's fantastic.
I love the game. Four Swords never did. Wind Waker never did. Wind Waker I thought was stupid because of the cell shading, but obviously I need to go back and play it because it's actually renowned as like one of the best Zelda games ever released. And then Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks never played. So all in all, I've played 3 out of like 17 games.
Out of all of them, also because for some reason this game doesn't have it on there. Link Between Worlds is also a game that I did not touch on when we were talking about the timeline, but just a reminder, I do know that Link Between Worlds exists. We were going off the timeline that was printed out before Link Between Worlds came out, so that's why it wasn't in my immediate zone, but it also exists in the Link Died timeline.
Yeah, and there's actually a couple games we didn't touch on because we also have Triforce Heroes.
There was also exists in the Link Died timeline.
The Link timeline?
Link is Dead timeline.
Oh, Link is Dead timeline. Yep.
I
was like, okay, well, they're all the Link timelines. So you gotta be specific. Cadence of Hyrule, which I don't think is actually considered timeline.
I don't think it's part of the timeline.
I think it's just kind of like a fun thing.
But like, I think it's also based in the Link is Dead timeline.
Okay.
Because I think it's a link between it's either I think it's a Link to the Past Link or Link Between Worlds Link or a Link's Awakening Link, which all 3 of those exist only in the Dead timeline.
That's fair. Then we had Hyrule Warriors, which is not canon.
Not canon, but like it could explain the converging timelines because you do go to all 3 timelines in that game.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was made by a third-party person that was just given rights to use
Koei Tecmo,
Link
I think
character. Whoever made Hyrule Warriors,
whoever makes
or
Dynasty
whatever,
Warriors.
or not Dynasty Warriors. Not, but
or Gundam Warriors, or
when it came to Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, Nintendo did do that completely in house and hired on that studio.
Yeah.
So Age of Calamity actually is canon.
So maybe that explains the converging timeline.
Which Age of Calamity is interesting because it brings in more time travel stuff. So it's a prequel to Breath of the Wild, where you play the 100 years prior, where you first team up with Zelda. You start off as like a knight in the training academy. Zelda recognizes you. You know, you go around, you find the 4 guardian people. Yeah. And it's like the fall of Hyrule, but in this game, time travel happens. So you have the future guardians travel back in time to help old Link, and it actually changes the outline where Ganon never actually took over Hyrule Castle. And I don't know if it's true or not, but people are saying that at least like a year ago, people were saying that Tears of the Kingdom was going to follow Age of Calamity's ending as opposed to Breath of the Wild's ending. Now, us recording this episode, we unfortunately still have not had a chance to play the game. You guys listening to this episode have been playing the game. You probably have 200 hours into it already. So
I might actually, when I get home, because I have today and then tomorrow off, I might just...
Dude, I own the game. Just come over and we'll play.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's multiplayer.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what's great about this. It's multiplayer.
Okay.
And bring that deadbeat roommate of yours too.
Yeah, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah, and then Tears of the Kingdom, which we know absolutely jack doodle about.
Yeah. I know you can fuse things.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, you can fuse things, and you're going back to Skypiea.
That's
One Piece.
That might be One Piece.
I love the.
Hold on, let me give you the confused.
Out of the 3 people talking right now, that's why I'm laughing.
He has no business.
He has no business talking about Skypiea.
I've read Skypiea 3 times.
You did.
The invasive thoughts are winning.
Eventually, I'll click or catch up on the other 800 chapters of that.
One day.
One day.
One day.
One
When
day.
it's over. Dude,
So what is your favorite Zelda game?
So my favorite Zelda game, this is a rough one because I want to go with nostalgia and say Ocarina of Time.
Well, let's do it both. Yeah.
Right.
Because obviously for both of us, nostalgia, Ocarina
Ocarina
of Time wins Zelda, which that's the big fight that Zelda fans have. It's like, because if you played all of them right now, Ocarina of Time would not be your favorite.
No.
Just because it was made 20 years ago. There's no way it can hold up to what's being put out right now.
Like its gameplay mechanics alone does require a lot of wait and see, where you just have to like hold your shield up and wait for the creature to come close to you, and then you can attack. So like I love Ocarina of Time, but it is very like the games that came after it built on a lot of like what like it stood on its predecessors.
Yeah.
I want to say Twilight Princess, but I feel like my infatuation for Twilight Princess is 100% solely based off the fact that like I played it a bunch during the GameCube era, and then in the Wii, a little bit in the Wii era, but like once we got to the Wii U, I lost my copy for the GameCube.
Okay.
So I haven't played it in a long time, and I'm obsessed with it because I want to play it. Like I want to play it. I want to play the game. I love Twilight Princess. I think if I had to say my favorite Zelda game of all time to play, it would have to be A Link to the Past.
Fair enough.
I adore that game with a passion. It's so fun. Either A Link to the Past or honestly its spiritual successor, A Link Between Worlds. You could go either or in those games. What I like about Link Between Worlds is that like you can play the game you can do the dungeons in any order that you want. Like
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it in a way it's kind of like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, because
it's open adventure.
Because I mean, we know from Zelda experience that whatever item you get in the dungeon is the item that's used to solve
beat the dungeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's great about Link Between Worlds is that you have Ravi, who has taken over your house, and you can either rent or straight out buy any of the items that you would use to beat that dungeon. So then you go and like say like you need the sand rod to do the sand dungeon. So like you could rent the sand rod and go do the sand dungeon if that's the first one you want to do. Actually, technically you can't do that because the sand rod's missing at the beginning of the game. But anyways, let's just say that it's there. And
like how you pick the one item that
you can't actually do first. So let's say you rent the bow, all right?
Okay.
So you rent the bow and you can go do the dungeon that coincides with like using the bow to beat the dungeon and the dungeon's boss. But if you die during the quest to get the to beat that dungeon, you have to actually go back and re-rent the item. Ravi's bird comes and takes the bow away from you, and you have to go back and rent it again.
Okay.
So it does make it a little bit annoying because like if you're mid-dungeon and you die, that means you have to go back and rent it and then come back to the dungeon. But like if you don't suck, you don't.
You know who you are.
I'm just saying. That's like the biggest issue I have with people. Like when they oh, it's stupid to go back for the thing, and I'm like, or you could just not
be
die
better,
and you don't have to worry about it.
I never needed to die, but I died just to know what other people.
Like it's called get those empty jars and fill them with fairies.
So it's funny because I think I'm the player you're talking about because I'm a chaotic player. Like
right.
I do not plan anything out. Like you should see my like Breath of the Wild map of death.
Oh, no, that would make me.
Oh
No,
my
I don't want to see
God,
it.
like you can't even see half of the map because it's just red from all of the X's
Like-
that I was.
You see, like it's funny because like I'm replaying through Breath of the Wild, and like if you saw like my playthrough, it's like very systematic. Like this area is completely clean, and then we're over in this area, and we're doing everything over here, and it's like very like doing everything.
You 100% a zone. And then,
I don't leave a zone until it's 100%.
is that how you played originally too?
Yes.
Oh shit! I was just like full on adventure
Nah,
mode.
dude,
Like,
I was like, nah.
like I
man,
think I made
am-
it to the volcano before I even made it to like the whatever the fish guy's name, Obsidian or whatever.
Like I didn't use
Obsidian.
a walkthrough or anything like that. I just literally would like go to the top of a tower and like look out around and stuff like that. And I heard the rumor about the birds circling over shrines like through the grapevine.
Mhm.
And when I heard that rumor, I started using that to like find shrines.
Interesting.
So like if you look at
I never
the
heard that rumor.
Oh yeah, if you look at the sky in Breath of the Wild and you see birds circling around like flying in a circle, it means that there's an undiscovered shrine there.
No shit.
Yep.
That's game changing.
Yeah, I literally found that out like through the grapevines, like people just talking about. Like it was kind of cool for a second there. Like so many people were playing Breath of the Wild that like it felt like you were on like the playground in school again. Like people were just talking
Yeah.
about things because like the strategy guide for Breath of the Wild doesn't have a lot of the stuff in it. It just shows you where items are that you can find.
And that's why I'm trying to be like so oblivious when it comes to like
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom. I want to experience that again.
Yeah,
Because yeah, with just like you, Breath of the Wild, I did not look up a single thing online.
Yeah.
Like I would stumble into every, shrine I found, or like honestly, my favorite like memory of Breath of the Wild is climbing up to the top of the mountain and finding like the poison dragon that you had to fight.
Right.
Because I was just like, oh
What
fuck,
is
what
this guy
did
doing
I
here?
just
Right.
find? Like,
Yeah,
I get to fight a
same.
dragon now?
Dude, I remember when I was on the bridge and like it got dark and lightning started like flashing around. I was like, oh man, this sucks, right? And then like I saw like a shadow go over, and I tried looking around right at first. I could like I guess I just missed him, and then like he did something, and it made me like look back, and I was like, oh, what the fuck is that? I was like, that's a fucking dragon.
That's a big ass dragon in the sky.
And I didn't know that dragons existed in this game, so I thought that was the only one. And then when I was in the desert,
Yup.
same fucking thing. I was like, oh my. Like, every time I ran into a dragon in that game, I did not know.
Be honest, how much time did you spend trying to ride the dragon?
Oh, so much.
Only to find out that if you actually touched him,
he
you just
disappeared. Yeah.
you die.
I kept, like, trying to get, like, I was like, all right, cool. Maybe I got to attack him. And I kept, like, jumping off to try to get to him, but, like, I didn't have enough stamina. So I was like, oh, maybe that's a thing. So, like, I went around and I got enough stamina, and I was fan.
No. The only time I managed to land on the dragon is I think it was in the desert, and there was one that was actually like going through like a ravine or something like that. So I just happened to be like on the cliff,
And you jumped
and
off.
I like look down and I see the dragon coming up. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna do it. I'm finally gonna do it.
Right.
And he comes up and I like jump down. I think it was the thunder dragon. So like I landed on him. It's just like shock, 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 and then I roll off the back. So I did lie to you. I did look up one thing for this game.
Okay.
And it was, what is the purpose of the dragons?
Uh,
Because
I will agree with you. That is the one thing I looked up.
yeah,
either.
because
It's
I was
to
like,
increase
they
your-
are too big of a part in this game
Right.
to not be anything.
be relevant.
And then I was so pissed to look up and realize like, oh yeah, you just shoot them with an arrow and you get like a
Skull
a
fragment.
tooth or a scale that you can sell or make items out of. And I'm like,
I
that's it?
did not once throughout my entire first gameplay, not once did I increase any gear. I did not increase any of the gear that I got. So like I literally played through completely vanilla, and I was like, man, maybe this game would be a little bit like more intuitive if I did that. But like, I don't know. Like I remember like fighting like the plague, whichever one that's in the sky one, that Ganon.
The bird.
I remember fighting that boss, and like he hit me, and it would like do like 5 hearts worth of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Because like by this point in the game is assuming because like it registers.
You would have found at least 2 of the fairy fountains. Yeah.
Upgraded your stuff. So I'm just sitting there like eating apples like left and right just so I can beat this boss. I was like, man, and that stayed through all the way to the end of the game. At this point, I was like, I can do this. I can increase my gear, but I've already gotten.
You've made
this
it this
far.
far.
I might as well just finished the game. I never even got the HYUT-lian shield either. The only thing that I did was I got the Master Sword.
I did not get the Master Sword.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't realize you could do that until after I'd like beaten the game, and I was like, "Oh, that would have been easy."
One thing that I wish they do in this new one is they do allow you to repair weapons, because like my biggest issue with Breath of the Wild is the constant like having to search for
new weapons
and new shields, and I'm just like I've never experienced that in any RPG game I've ever played. Like Final Fantasy VII, if Cloud's Buster Sword broke, like what the hell would you do?
Right.
So like I get that it's more realistic, but like I'm not looking for realism when I play video games. I'm really not. That is my only gripe with Breath of the Wild.
Trying to escape realism.
Right. And I get that it's done in a way to like make the gameplay like more enticing, because like if you know your sword's about to break, you can use it for that last burst hit that happens. That's just not me.
There were so many like fuck moments
right
where I have no arrows, no swords, nothing. I have like a Korok leaf and bombs, and I'm like sitting there trying to defeat one of like the giant moblin, the one-eyed Cyclops moblins or whatever. I can't remember their name. The Hinox.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to beat one of them, and like all I have is bombs.
Yeah.
And I'm just like running around doing all this crazy stuff.
There's a lot of cool things that I found out about Breath of the Wild afterwards that like made it like I made me want to like replay it again for like the 4th time.
Yeah.
There's like all these like cool things like how to like, you know, you can if a Hinox giant has like wood around his leg, wood weapons, you can shoot a flame arrow and like he'll catch his leg on fire.
That was a rough time to take a pause.
Yeah.
If a Hinox giant has wood
like
around his legs.
I didn't even catch that.
You see it coming around the mountain first. You're like, what is that?
What is that?
What is that one-eyed monster?
Why do I
it's
hear
the one-eyed
boss
monster.
I love also that the fact that like TikTok has like used the Guardian piano trill like for like things like when it's like, have you seen those like memes?
No. I fortunately do not TikTok.
Well, TikTok or Instagram.
Oh,
It's the same thing. Instagram Reels are just like TikTok.
Follow us on TikTok.
Yeah, follow us on TikTok and
Instagram.
Where like they do like the piano trills like that.
Oh
like,
yeah.
When like something like scattered across the
yeah.
I never once beat a Guardian or a Lionel.
Yeah.
I could not.
Oh, the Guardians, once I figured out the trick, was easy as fuck.
There's a trick?
There's a trick.
Oh.
Yeah, so once you have the Master Sword, you freeze them, you run up to them, use the Master Sword, and chop off all their legs. And once their legs chop off, they flip on their side, and then you just slash the underside of them.
Huh.
Yeah, super fucking easy.
All right, I'm gonna try that next
I also found out the trick to beating a Lionel is you have to mount them.
Yeah.
So you shoot them in the face with an arrow, then they kind of like fall around or whatever, and you mount them and you slash them a bunch. But you have to do that like 9 times to beat them, and I couldn't do it.
No, I'm good.
So one thing I will say that's very frustrating. So I told you I'm a chaotic player. Do you remember the mazes that you had to beat in Breath of the Wild, and that's how you got like the barbarian armor?
Mm-hmm.
I remember spending probably 4 days in those mazes, just earning these. And then I'm watching my girlfriend play, and she's coming up on the maze, and she's like, I can just run on the top, right? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Like, no. And she's like, I think I can. And she's just like running on the top, just like, oh no, Guardian's flying above me. Freeze it. I'm just going to keep. Just runs right to the end. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Play the fucking maze the way the maze was meant to be played.
And if you accidentally fall into the maze, just, take out a piece of wood, flame arrow it.
Yep.
Ride the draft up.
Yeah. Well, she had the Rivali's Gale.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like,
so you could just,
Yeah.
Oh, man. Rivali's Gale, I used all the time when I wanted to just get, like,
that was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
That and the auto revive. I can't tell you how many times I
Grace and Rivali's Gale
slid off the side of a mountain, died, and then she's like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
That's what I do when I want to get down to like the bottom.
You just suicide.
I just drop down.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Ground, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, cool, thank you. A lot better.
Let's
than,
do
like,
this again in 10 minutes.
Down. But
fuck. Okay, well that's half an episode on
it's
just
half an episode just on Breath of the Wild. We got to talk about the other games.
Oh, we could have did 3 episodes on Breath of the Wild. But let mention some other fun things about the games.
No, we got. There's plenty more we could talk about.
Plenty more. Like Majora's Mask being like a whoopsies game.
Yeah. The fact that it's literally just, what is it?
It's like leftover
assets
data from Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
That they originally, Nintendo was like, hey, let's just push out like a collector's edition of Ocarina of Time, use all this undone stuff. And one of the creators was like, why don't we just make a new game and stop trying to like rob fans of money? And they're like, shit, okay, you have 8 months, do it. So they just went out and like slave labored away on Majora's Mask, and they pushed that out.
Oh man, the fact that Minish Cap is one of the only games in the Zelda franchise timeline that's actually made by Studio Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that game is so good. Like, easily probably one of the best Zelda games out there. Yeah, but it's made by Capcom, not even Nintendo.
Yep. We can talk about how Twilight Princess only exists because everyone hated Wind Waker so much.
Yeah.
The cell shading that was introduced with Wind Waker was not received at all in America. No. So then Twilight Princess was literally developed targeting Americans because we wanted that dark, gritty Zelda that came from like the adult version of Ocarina of Time, because everyone went from playing Ocarina of Time to Wind Waker, and it's like, no, we don't want to play Child Link anymore. Nope. We want to play as the adult Link.
Because you had 2 games back to back, which were Kid Link. You have Majora's Mask and now Wind Waker, and it's like, we want adult Link back.
Right. It's like, give us our big boy.
Give us big boy.
Big boy.
Which does lead to a discussion. Which version of Link is your favorite Link?
Adult.
But which one?
Oh, which one? Twilight.
Yeah, I'd have to go Twilight too. Twilight Link.
I think I have to go Twilight.
One. He's got the chainmail armor.
He has that cool like money suit. It just walks around like, you can't touch me. I have the power of money.
I have the power of money and God on my
Screw
side.
the rules. I have money.
It is literally the Kaiba armor.
It's the Kaiba armor. So you can get like smacked by Ganondorf and just lose. Just like, oh no, I lost 50 joules or whatever.
Oh no.
Or what is it? It's like 1 joule a second or something like that. And you can have a max purse of 300 joules. So it's like you can fight anyone, not take any damage for 300 seconds.
It's the greatest.
It's an amazing armor that you have to collect every bug in the game to get. But
do. It's so
that was an annoying thing to do, but well worth it. While we're talking about other cool armors and stuff too, there's also the great deity from Majora's Mask.
The fierce deity.
Or the fierce deity. Yeah. Which I also remember just being OP. I never played the game, but I watched our buddy play the game, and he was like, "Yeah, I can beat the game real quick. I got this fierce deity mask," and he just like goes in there and just fucking like one shots Majora.
It's so great. The fierce deity mask is like the best part of Majora's Mask. It is the reason why you do all the side quests in that game just for that mask alone. I love Majora's Mask. Though I will say that the best version of Majora's Mask is the 3DS version. So
that's fair. What's your favorite item?
Favorite item in the game? Ooh, so hard. I want to go dual
hook shot.
Dual hook shot.
That was a fucking amazing fight.
I love that fight. And as stupid as it is, I also like the spinning top, right? Because
it's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun.
I loved using it to solve the puzzles. Like we needed to jump back and forth to like get to locations. Yeah, I do love that.
I think Hyrule Warriors, that's a weapon you can unlock with Link.
That's so great. That is I'd have to go Big Goron Sword though.
Big Goron Sword is dope.
I'd have to go Big Goron Sword, probably my favorite weapon, because it's originally just a knife.
Yeah, it was the Big Goron knife or something like that, and it broke after like 3 swings.
Yeah.
It
leads then to like one of the worst fetch quests in like all of video games,
where you have to run across all of Hyrule,
and like you have a time limit.
Yeah, and you can't warp.
Nope. And if you mess up, you literally have to start from
the beginning.
Very beginning.
It's like you have to run from Mount Doom to Gerudo.
Yeah.
In
like 5 minutes.
In like 5 minutes. And that's the entire game, which at the time was the biggest game ever made.
Yeah.
For Nintendo. Like the way that Nintendo managed to make this game so big is they literally just built everything on top of each other, which is one of the facts that's been like completely like destroyed by speedrunners.
Yeah.
Because they're able to basically you can speed run Ocarina of Time by backflipping through a door.
Yeah,
and it like screws up the code, so you can. I can't remember. I want to say you have to run through the game and you have to beat the spider Gabumon. What the fuck? It's
Goma.
Goma.
Yeah.
Goma. So you have to beat Goma, but don't go into the Shining Spear afterwards. You backflip through the door, and that takes you right to Ganon's final fight.
Yeah.
And it's like Ganon, not Ganondorf. You go to Ganon, and you have to have a Korok stick at the time, and you run under his legs, and you just stand under the tail with the Korok stick, and it glitches the game, so you hit him like 1,000 times with the stick just being there.
Well, what you do is you do what's called the infinite sword trick, where you literally you do a thing that makes it so that your sword is constantly swinging.
Yeah.
So the game is registering that you're like the sword is looking still, but it's like blurring. It's actually like a chainsaw, but you do that to the Deku stick. And the Deku stick is just constantly like a chainsaw.
Right at the tail.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know.
I will tell you, if you want to like enjoy like a good comedy like video of like speedrunning and stuff like that, have you ever watched any of Terminal Montage's videos?
No.
Oh, dude. I have to send it to you because like he does like speedruns like cartoon videos like speedruns of like the Zelda games, and they are hilarious.
Is he the guy that beat Breath of the Wild in like 27 minutes?
No.
No, this is the guy with the Kerbo.
The Kerbo. He does the Kerbo video.
Boyo. Watch that if you haven't.
I love him. But yeah, I mean it's ridiculous the way that the way that they break those games. What I find funny though is I think they still haven't found a way to break getting off the Great Plateau without having to beat
those 3 missions. Yeah.
Like you still have to do all you can break the dungeons. Like you can break that, but you still have to get the cloth from the king in order to leave the Great Plateau.
Yeah.
It's like the one thing like Nintendo was like, I guess like stop. They're like, nah, man, you can't speed run this. And it's
I love how it's like as soon as you get that though, then it's just chaos.
It's just chaos.
You're just like freezing rocks, blowing it up, standing on top of it, getting launched 300 miles right into Ganon's castle.
Yeah.
Like
it's so great.
You just go up there with a Korok leaf and a stick, and you're like, "Come at me, bro!
Come at me!
Come at me! You won't survive my bombs."
So, what about your favorite Zelda? We talked about favorite Link.
I mean, this might be nostalgia again, but Sheik is my favorite Zelda.
Okay. I can respect it.
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, I haven't played a lot of the games.
Right.
So in the games I have played, Zelda was not really a part of it.
No.
Like Skyward Sword, she's gone the whole time. Ocarina of Time, she's there. Sheik. Twilight Princess, I believe she was also captured and gone the whole time.
Yeah, she was in a dungeon in the Twilight Realm.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild, she's imprisoned herself to keep Ganon at bay. So also not a part of it. I can say in Age of Calamity, though, you do get to play as Zelda.
Yeah.
And about halfway through the game, you unlock her, like, her Goddess of Time abilities, and she becomes OP as fuck if you've put any kind of stats into her. Damn. So she was great to play in Age of Calamity. Like, she goes from being able to, like, do really basic shit to unlocking the power of light and just shooting, like, fucking Kamehamehas, like, halfway across the board. Pretty much. She's just like, eat my arrows. And it's like half a field is gone. So, like, yeah, either her or Sheik. I would have to say Age of Calamity Zelda or Sheik.
I have to give it up to Wind Waker Zelda. Because,
Pirate Zelda.
Yeah, she was like all sass the entire game, and she does play a role, and she's actually like vital to like beating Ganon Ganondorf at the end of the game.
Okay, that's cool.
Like she actually has to stun him. You have to line her up properly so that she can shoot him with a light arrow, because he'll block it if like he sees it coming.
Interesting.
So like you actually have to like, line it up properly to like get the win. So
who's your favorite Ganondorf? Or Ganon/Ganondorf?
Ganon/Ganondorf. Ooh, that's a tough one. Well, definitely not the one from Skyward Sword because he didn't exist yet.
It makes sense.
Ooh, man, I really like Twilight Princess's Ganondorf, but I'd have to probably go Wind Waker Ganondorf again.
Really? The fat boy?
Yeah, because he
He looked like Friar Tuck in that.
He does, but he's like, dude, first off, he busts out like the dual wield in that fight. And like he is 100% like he's still evil, but like his rationality to like get his end game is a lot more like based in like
Meticulated.
Like than it is in like the other games where he just like I'm using my power to win.
We'll say like
Oh shit!
Ganon ain't no
Yeah,
slouch.
Ganon
Like
ain't no
every
slouch.
like Ocarina of Time, he's like, okay, I've got 8 failsafes. I got 8 evil demons.
Yeah.
Like in everything. Like Breath of the Wild, he's like, I'm literally taking over like
Everything.
mechs. Like if you can stop me, fine. But he's just like I think like out of villains in video games, like top tactician, like of anything.
I think his Wind Waker version is just the better tactician than the other ones.
That's fair. I mean, Ocarina of Time was pretty tactical.
Yeah.
I mean, he went through the whole like mindset of I need to
pretend like
I'm, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I also like Twilight Princess too. That's a tough one. I want to say Wind Waker, but I also want to say Twilight Princess. But I also don't like want to like fall it like these are the only ones that I like.
Right.
So I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd probably go Wind Waker though.
That's fair. That's fair. I've never played it, but
Super Smash Brothers Brawl.
I was just about to say, like,
Super Smash
my favorite Ganondorf is the one that I was able to mod and turn him into a speed Ganondorf. He was dope, but
the man,
I named him Googly Porf.
Googly Porf.
I did.
Okay. I mean, like the Zelda franchise alone, there's so many things that like, so many things to talk about. Like there's Tingle, we didn't touch on at all.
No. The Playboy of the game series.
The sexiest character in all of the Zelda franchise.
You have the mask salesman who's just for some reason in every game.
Also goes insane and chokes a child. He chokes. He tries to choke out Link when he's like 10 years old. I'm like, you are a grown adult, and you're mad that your mask got stolen. And that leads into like all the theories about like why did the Happy Mask Salesman have Majora's Mask in the first place, and like knowing how powerful Majora's Mask is, how come we are like so willing to give him Majora's Mask at the end of Majora's Mask? Like it's literally a cursed deity that the barbarian tribe like put into a mask, and we're just giving it to this guy who just walks around
looking for a dime here and there.
Also, why does he have Mario's mask?
He also has Pikachu's mask.
Yeah. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
All right. There's all the theories that's leading into the Tears of the Fallen Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom. I won't stop.
I'm gonna get you a bootleg copy that just has like
Tears
Fallen.
Just take Sharpie. Just write Fallen over top of it.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Like I discussed it about it a little bit in the last episode, but I'm really hoping that we see a return of Demise as the bad guy, because we haven't seen Demise since the first game in the
timeline
when he was in Skyward Sword, which would be cool because you could bring back all three. You could bring back Vati, you could bring back Demise, and you could bring back Ganondorf, and it would be cool to have like just like a combination of villains where like any one of them, minus Demise, because Demise is like the guy, like he is the bad guy. I mean, his anger and hatred for Hylia and her creations is so deep that he literally spread a curse that resulted in Ganondorf even being a thing.
So like, let me throw out what I want.
Right.
So Demise was the evil inside of Ganondorf.
Yeah.
We know that Ganondorf is back in Tears of the Fallen Kingdom because last week's release, shows Ganondorf in all of his glory. What if Demise comes back because he's no longer in Ganondorf? Ganondorf is no longer influenced by hatred and is like, I need to fix this because like I'm stuck in this infinite loop of reborn. I don't want to be evil anymore. I want to fix this.
That's kind of what happens in Wind Waker's Ganondorf.
But Tears of the Kingdom, we also know that other characters can work with Link, because we saw that scene where a bunch of other people were fighting with him.
Yeah.
What if you can earn Ganondorf as a partner?
Right.
So your final team could be like Ganondorf and Zelda, and you're going up against Demise or Vati.
I love that as an idea, but like my idea is that like Ganondorf is still a bad guy. We don't like retcon his evilness, but like his evilness is based now off of his own desire for power and not Demise's desire for power. So we could in turn see what's like Magneto is to the X-Men, right? So like we know Magneto is a bad guy in the X-Men, but like when Apocalypse shows up, who is like the bad guy in the X-Men, Magneto puts his differences aside with Xavier to stop Apocalypse. Is Magneto a good guy? No. He just understands that the greater evil is this other evil. And even while he's helping Xavier beat Apocalypse, he's still trying to do something so that after Apocalypse is beaten,
he has the one up on top
on Xavier. So it's like Ganondorf is like, all right, Link, I'm here to help you beat Demise, but like in the background pulling some stuff.
But like, I'll only do that if you give me the Crest of Courage.
Yeah, like something that just allows him to.
So something else that's happening though, it was a quick little screen, but I'm pretty sure in the most recent release they showed Veldora, the like 3-headed dragon from the Fire Temple in Ocarina of Time. He's in Tears of the Kingdom. So people are speculating too that we're going to see repeats of all of these old temple bosses coming back.
It would be cool because, like, in a sense, we are converging 3 timelines. So maybe there's just a lot of paradoxical slips that happened that, like, we will... Because, I mean, in a sense, Skyloft is in this game. The Sky Islands are...
Skypiea, yeah.
You have no right to say that name. You have no right to stand where
I say it because you won't allow me.
I
want what's forbidden.
How dare you stand where he once stood?
Do we need a part 3?
Do we need a part 3?
Do we need a part 3? Let's ask the studio audience. Do we need a part 3?
Boo.
Yeah, I'm paying attention.
Our producer says
no.
We're too boring for him to pay attention.
Yeah.
All right.
He doesn't like Zelda games.
You know what? I say we put part 3 on hold. We'll come back in a couple months once everyone's had a chance to play Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah,
and maybe we can talk about it a little
bit. Like just an episode on Tears of the Kingdom.
Just on Tears of the Kingdom. I think we can do it.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
All right. Which means you guys need to stick around with us long enough to watch that.
Yeah. Stick around. Check us out.
Make sure to tune in every week as we talk about something. With that, Mike and Ike's and Patty Whackers. We'll see you next week.
Is that what we're going to call our fan base?
That's what I'm referring to.
All right, cool. Mike and Ike's and Patty Whackers. All right, anyway. Man. See you guys later.
Adios.
If you enjoyed that episode, make sure to join us here every Thursday on YouTube and Spotify as we drop new episodes of that good shit.
And don't forget to give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok for some solid filler content to get you through the week at Not Mike, Not Pat. You should be watching.